Hello, everyone. We are Team Charlie. My name is Corey Schwanz.
Jessica Brown.
I'm Diego Barrientos.
And I'm John Simonek.
Finishing up our final project, Run Amok with Full Sail's game design program. In this post-mortem video, we'll be talking about our experiences throughout this final project class over the last 4 months. John, why don't you tell us about our game?
Run Amok is a platformer with auto-run elements. The character, and in this case is a foxy girl, is always moving from left to right, but we have platforming elements in which the player can jump. They can also wall jump off of various walls and go back and forth. They can charge their jump to jump further, and they can also air brake, which actually has two sort of mechanics involved. So if the player wall jumps and they air brake, it will actually move them back to the left, whereas if they air brake while moving forward, it slows them down. So we tried taking those mechanics and building levels around them.
Awesome. Well, why don't we talk about some of the things that really went well for our team this month? Some of the things that we really took advantage of and made our game and experience working really well. Diego, why don't you talk about what went well for us?
I think what went well for us was having multiple people look at the game and multiple stages of production. Because since we're building our game, we know the game from the ground up. But other people might not see it the same way, and they could find things that we couldn't, and that could help us, help us polish our levels and mechanics to be as polished as possible.
Awesome. Some of the things, like you were saying, the playtesting really did help. One of the things that I think was actually really kind of interesting for us to think about was the technical limitations from a design aspect. What we were really thinking of really helped out. From the very beginning of our entire project, we always had mobile in mind. So what kind of advantages and disadvantages being on a mobile platform brings. Typically, advanced controls are not something you associate with mobile games, so we ultimately limited our game to a 2-button. We think we may have used maybe 3 buttons or so, but this limited 2-button approach where only a couple buttons at a time. You don't have to worry about where your thumbs are on a screen. You just have them maybe on the left side of the screen or the right side of the screen, and with that kind of approach to it, it really made us think about what buttons we wanted to use, how our mechanics were going to be used, and what that would let us work with, what kind of levels we were bringing to the table. The things that didn't necessarily go so well, what do you think, John?
I think the fact that we didn't use a state machine per se to control the states that the player was in terms of when they were allowed to, or when the player would be able to air brake, when they would be able to crouch. Really, we focused so much on using trigger volumes instead of state machines that it started to become really tricky. And I'm still not convinced that it works the way that we intended it to be. It required a lot of fine-tuning on our part in terms of size of trigger volumes, on the walls that you could jump from, to the platforms that the player was landing in, making sure that the player wasn't in two triggers at the same time, the responsiveness of the controls when those kinds of things would happen. I think that not going with a state machine was probably what caused sort of an uphill battle for us. So it really required a lot of I think we constrained ourselves a bit by being forcing ourselves to use trigger volumes, and it worked out well. I'm very happy with the way that things came out, but I don't know if it was as crisp as we expected or would have liked.
Yeah, Jessica, I know one of the things that you were kind of frustrated at the beginning with was this is kind of the first time that we've used Unity 5 as a platform. Mostly along this class so far, we've been using Unity, the later 4 versions. What do you think about 5 made it different for you based upon what you were expecting?
Well, a lot of the wording is different in the scripts, especially when you're turning on and off game objects and stuff. The wording is really different, so once we learn the wording, we seem to have an easier time. Plus, I was also learning the new UI system, which that was pretty interesting to learn. But I mean, overall, it turned out really good, and I did learn a lot about, different things that I could actually do with the UI system.
Awesome. Definitely taking some of these struggles that we've had and figuring out how to turn them into a kind of a positive outlook. Well, thanks for watching our postmortem video here for Run Amok, and we hope that you've learned as much about our game as we learned building it.
Have a good night. Thank you.